Guys, I have to get something off my chest. I have an addiction. One that I haven't been able to shake since I was 6 years old. Oh, okay, wait, that sounds really bad. Let me explain. It's not the kind of addiction that is life-ruining, or that will cause me to spiral into an uncontrolled self-destructive cycle where I lose all my family and friends. But it's gonna get me pretty close. I am addicted to retro first-person shooters. Every time one of these games is released, I have to play it. I need to play it. Dusk, A Medieval, Project Warlock, Herat. My brain goes into a frenzy and I can't focus on anything else until I start blowing away hordes of monsters or demons or whatever this is. The feeling of anticipation and excitement is overwhelming, and my thirst for gibs and blood is insatiable. And I think we all know who is to blame here. That's right, John Romero. And I thought I was safe. After playing Herat last year, I assumed I would have some more time before I got sucked back into the FPS void. But no! You want to know why? Because he's back!
Because there's a new shooter in town, and boy, it's a good one. It was developed by a self-taught designer and my young friend Kuba. It's called Project Warlock II.
Thanks, John. I had no idea Project Warlock 2 was even in development, and now I'm staring at the Steam page breaking out in a sweat. Oh, I'm starting to feel lightheaded. I need to lie down. After regaining consciousness from blacking out, I had the game installed and ready to go. Before I jump into the review, it's only fair to mention that this is an early access release and only includes the first of 3 planned chapters. If you are the developer, take this as more of a suggestive guide than a final review, and if anything significant in the game design changes, I'll be sure to make another video to update my thoughts. That being said, Project Warlock 2 has come a long way from its predecessor that was released in 2018. You can clearly see that the development team has refined their skills over the past 4 years, and it shows in many ways. But there are some design decisions that I feel have taken the sequel backwards in some aspects. I'll cover these in just a bit, but first, the good stuff. What's going on in Project Warlock 2? Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really sure. But that's not a bad thing. I'm here to shoot monsters, not read a book. The game does open up with a brief text introduction explaining who warlocks are and what they do. They travel through time in the universe, seeking wisdom and power, and murdering anything that gets in their way. Excellent. You are introduced to one of these warlocks, Palmer, who is described as a fanatical follower of his master, and who yearns to follow in his footsteps. Some time ago, Palmer's master spoke of a crusade against evil and was never seen again. I also thought I read somewhere during my playthrough that Palmer is defending his village from an onslaught of the undead, but after going back through the gameplay footage, I couldn't find the text, so it's entirely possible I made that up. It's also mentioned on the Steam store page that the 3 new characters have their own personal reasons to confront their old warlock master, who I am to assume is the player's character from the prequel. I don't remember this being mentioned anywhere in the game itself, but apparently the former warlock got himself a little too deep into the dark arts and needs a reality check. But if his plunge into darkness is responsible for the improved graphics in Project Warlock 2, I say we give him a pass, because things look much, much better here. The texture work has greatly improved. Sprites are more detailed and have better animations, the variety of colors used has been increased, and enemies are easily distinguished from one another. This is very important for sight-reading threats in a hectic firefight. The level textures have also been improved. They are more colorful, more detailed, and there's a larger variety of them throughout the levels. This helps reduce the fatigue of looking at the same 4 wall patterns over and over. The geometry of the level design has also been improved, creating more complex environments that are interesting to traverse. All of these improvements are welcome and impressive, but the single most impactful visual change that Project Warlock II has made is in the lighting. Thank John Romero, levels finally have lights. Gone is the complete and utter darkness of the first game, and the need to constantly pull out your light spell to see what's around you. This was my biggest complaint in my review of Project Warlock, and I'm very thankful for the change. The combat has also been overhauled to feel more like a mix of Doom Eternal and Serious Sam. Enemies will swarm you in large numbers, and ammo and health will drop from them when killed. Oh, and a quick side note here. I was running extremely low on ammo in the last few levels of the game, and had to resort to using the Claymore to down a few enemies. Like the chainsaw in Doom Eternal, it appears melee kills increase the amount of ammunition dropped. I don't know if this was explained anywhere in the game, but if it was, I missed it. Don't be like me and spend half your playthrough low on ammo. Use the Claymore. Okay, back to what's important. Killing shit. Firing guns feels excellent and enemies jib into red mist when you hit them with explosives or your shotgun. Combat is fast and challenging. Enemy variety gives you priority targets in battle, and the mix of melee and range attacks keeps you on your toes and moving. To aid you in your fight against evil, you will find 5 unique weapons throughout Palmer's chapter, each with its own kick-ass way of dealing with your foes. The Claymore, the rifle, the shotgun, the cannon, and the staff. Respectively, the 5 weapons have 2 main upgrades to choose from. Regrettably, once a choice is made, it cannot be changed and is permanent. The Claymore can be upgraded with a titanium core or a magical blade. The rifle can be modified into a heavy rifle or a laser variant. The shotgun can be equipped with 2 extra barrels or become fully automatic, my favorite. The cannon can be changed into a grenade launcher or a super cannon that pierces enemies, and the staff can be either charged with lightning or fire. Each upgrade above also has its own secondary modification that enhances the first. Some of these are better than others, but I'll let you decide what you like the most. There are also 3 spells you are granted, but they are not quite as useful as your weapons. You have a spell that gives you akimbo weapons for a short duration of time, an Ice Nova spell that freezes enemies in a radius around you, and a Fireball spell? This one I never found useful, so let's just ignore it. The audio design in combat is also excellent. The sound of weapons firing is crisp and meaty, like firing a shotgun into a crowd of monsters. Man, that is satisfying. Especially coupled with the sound of the enemies jibbing. It's perfect. The music also complements the action well and gets your blood flowing. The combat in Project Warlock II is by far my favorite part of the game, and it's what had me coming back for more. There are some design decisions, though, that made me feel like the game is heading in the wrong direction. The first of these is the way the character selection works. This feels straight out of Hexen. At the moment, there is only 1 character class available, but eventually there will be 3 different warlocks to choose from. Each class has its own specific arsenal, which determines which weapons and spells you will find throughout the chapter, like the gear previously mentioned. And, if I understand correctly, you can only use a specific warlock per chapter. This means that Palmer, for instance, can only be used in Chapter 1. Correct me in the comments if I am wrong. I do like the idea of the different characters to choose from, but don't like that choosing a certain character prevents you from using a specific weapon or spell. For now, this won't impact the game too much because of the singular choice, but once the other characters are added, it will feel limiting. A better choice here, I think, would be to let the player choose a character and then customize what loadout they preferred. This would allow the player to choose the warlock they most identify with, while also allowing them to experiment with different combat styles. This brings me to my second point, and the area where I believe Project Warlock II can make the most substantial improvement: pacing. Pacing is something that is difficult to get a feel for when developing a game, but if done incorrectly can rapidly deter the player. This is where I think the game can be refined the most. From the very start of my playthrough, the pacing felt off. In the first level of any game, you are introduced to what you are about to play, how it controls, information about the items, weapons, levels, etc. Project Warlock 2 has this information available, but you don't have the time to absorb it because you are constantly being bombarded with enemies. By the time you clear out the threat in an area, you have either moved past an information panel or forgot which one you have activated. There is no time to breathe and assimilate the information given to you, and because of this, I missed a few of the tutorial panels myself, like the one that explained the difference between the yellow and blue armor, which I looked up later on. I did select the hardest difficulty for my first playthrough, so the challenge is welcome, but the pacing at which that challenge was introduced felt off. The levels are also massive from the beginning and felt overwhelming. This is a quote straight from the Steam store page. Filled with enemies, obstacles, secrets, Easter eggs, perks, and achievements to unlock, every level in the game can take up to 1 hour to complete. They aren't joking. The first level took me upwards of 45 minutes to complete, and that was with me missing several secrets and collectibles. I found myself getting lost and losing my bearing on where certain rooms were, and which one had secrets or items I had missed. It's kinda like when you go to Walmart, and halfway through shopping you forget the initial reason why you went to the store in the first place. So now you are standing in the middle of the clothing aisle, clutching a bag of Doritos and a jar of spaghetti sauce, questioning your existence. I'm not sure how any of that is related to level design, but the sheer size of the maps here made hunting for the cameos and collectibles frustrating. This is because I spent more time trying to figure out where I was and where I had been, rather than trying to find the secrets themselves. This led to me shutting off the game because I felt I needed a mental break, only to come back, refreshed, but even more confused because I had completely forgotten where to go. Levels of this size can work, but the game should build up to their scale over time, and they should be constructed in a way that makes sense for the player to navigate. I found 4 out of the 6 levels to be overall confusing and lacking any sense of direction. They felt more like a random collection of rooms stitched together than they did a purposefully designed environment. Let me try to illustrate this another way. If you have played Doom 2, we are going to run an experiment. Close your eyes for a moment. And if you haven't played Doom 2, close your eyes anyways, who cares? I'm going to give you the name of a random map from the game. Keep your eyes closed for this. Map 2, Underhalls. More than likely, you were able to picture the level in your mind just from hearing the name. You saw the first area with the 3 zombie men standing in front of you. You saw the room where you found the double-barrel shotgun. Or the building where you find the red key card. The level design of Doom 2 feels very deliberate and structured. Because of this, the layout can be committed to memory, and you have a sense of direction. You know where you have been, and where you need to go. This works even with the larger maps. Thinking back through my first 2 playthroughs of Project Warlock 2, I have glimpses of the maps in my mind, but I can't recall any particular part of the levels themselves. What I'm getting at here is that I think that shorter, more structured levels would have added more value to an already awesome experience, especially when you have secrets and items to find. It makes 100%ing a level feel more like an accomplishment and less like a chore. Whew, okay, rant over. Oh, you can open your eyes now. I wanted to end here with some minor issues I found that will most likely be fixed by release. Weapons do not auto-switch when you run out of ammo. There is no indication on the HUD of how much ammo a weapon has. Symbols are used to help identify what object is affected by a particular switch, but often the corresponding symbol disappears from the affected object. Dead bodies can be hit with grenades. I died an embarrassing amount of times because of this. And the staff's lightning attack is off-center. Aside from these minor issues, Project Warlock 2 is currently in a really good place, especially considering it's in early access. If future chapters can refine the level design and fix the pacing of the game, I think it will be an excellent retro FPS. Thankfully, now that I have completed the first chapter myself, I can take a break and relax while I... Wait. No. No. Not you too. No!